Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Anything you want to say in response to what's been said so far?
Well, absolutely. I believe that this conversation is being contextualized in the wrong way. I believe that it's being discussed under the notion that this is a religious war, that this is a conflict between Arabs and Jews, and that Hamas is central to Palestinian suffering or Palestinian resistance. And I think I want to give a bit more historical context of why we're actually fighting for Palestine. When we say that we're pro-Palestine, we're not advocating for any military group. We're advocating for the total liberation of all oppressed peoples.
I get the contextualization, but I also get a lot of buzzwords strung together. But I'm asking you what you think and you believe. Let's start with what happened on October 7th. Do you endorse that?
I reject the premise of that question because I don't believe that the person asking me that question has the moral authority to ask it until they first and foremost condemn the violent formation of Israel and the ensuing Palestinian deaths. And in fact, I find it unfair that advocates for Palestine are first forced to preemptively condemn acts of violence before their platform is considered legitimate. It plays into Islamophobic tropes.
History actually shows us that religious leaders in Palestine were very close with Hitler, and that Arab violence in the 1930s against Jews already living in the land had caused a halt to immigration for Jews who sought to flee there from violence they were facing in Europe. And in 1948, before the nation could even be established, Arabs were bombing the Jewish quarter to rubble. On May 15th, the day-old state of Israel was at war following attacks by Egypt and Jordan and other Arab nations who swore to wipe the Jews off of the face of the earth.
Islamophobic tropes.
Yes.
Well, let's just get down to right and wrong.
Okay.
And if you don't want to answer the question, that is an answer. Do you condemn what happened on October 7th?
Of course, we do not justify murdering any innocent civilians. But again, the framework of the question makes it seem as if the situation is the result only because of October 7th, when there have been several massacres for decades leading up to this. So when we have been the recipients of that violence and we are first asked to condemn violence, I find that there is a sense of hypocrisy in those questions when our suffering is not being recognized. And the first thing we're asked is to condemn.
What do you think Israel was going to do when Hamas cuts a hole in the fence and comes over the top and kills 1,300 people? What did you think they should have done?
I think they have every right to go in combat with Hamas, but I don't think they have the right for 92% of the death count to be civilians.
If they burn an infant in a crib, do you see that as a moral equivalent to a collateral death from a bomb being dropped as an act of war?
They have explicitly targeted civilian areas that have been marked as civilian areas. Israel has the registry for every person in Gaza.
And if that's where the enemy is hiding, do they have a right to attack them?
No, they do not have the right to kill.
There are some things that are just fundamental human decency. And when I ask you if what happened on October 7th is something you condemn, and you say, well, you have to look at that by looking at hundreds of years of conflict. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's either right or it's wrong, and it was wrong, and I don't need 100 years of conflict to know it was
The
wrong.
fact of the matter is that Hamas, yes, did take innocent life. Why did Hamas take away innocent life? Why was Hamas platformed? Why was Hamas funded? Why is Hamas empowered to take away innocent life?
And if that's where the enemy is hiding, do they have a right to attack them?
No, they do not have the right to kill.
Did you catch that? So their position is that if Israel wants to defend themselves, they are not allowed under any circumstances to kill any innocent civilians. But Hamas was specifically created and empowered for the specific task of killing innocent civilians. But let's not forget what she told Dr. Phil earlier when he asked her about October 7th.
Condemn what happened on October 7th.
Of course, we do not justify murdering any innocent civilians.
Few moments later.
Yes, did take innocent life. Why did Hamas take away innocent life? Why was Hamas platformed? Why was Hamas funded? Why is Hamas empowered to take away innocent life?
Let me tell you something. When some